So the Police Service of Northern Ireland promotion process for PC to sergeant, sergeant to inspector is without doubt the most competitive process in the United Kingdom. And to succeed, you're going to have to stand out. Why? Because if you don't, it's not like, oh, I can try again next year. Next year, you've got to do, and it might even be next year, it might be the year after, or the year after, or the year after. This is the first set of promotion boards, I think, for 4 years. And if you fail, you've got to start again. Not just as in prepare for the board, you've got to do your exam all over again. This is unlike the other countries in the United Kingdom, and this is what makes the PSNI process really, really tough. And what we're doing at the moment with our academy members is we're focusing on making sure that they stand out, to make sure that they're the ones who the assessors on the promotion board are listening to, thinking, this is awesome, promote this person now. And in this video, I'm going to talk to you about some of the things that we covered in one of the webinars that we ran the other evening, which was exclusive for Promotion Academy members. They don't just get one-to-ones. They don't just get small group practice webinars. They don't just get all the online material. They also get time with me every week where I get to share. This is why you should listen to me. My name's Brendan, by the way, and I've got over 31 years of coaching experience in the police sector, specialist interviews, promotion boards, recruitment process. I'm responsible for several thousand individuals succeeding in boards and assessments in the recruitment world and promotion world. Don't just take my word for it though. I know I'm good at it. I know my team's good at it. Check the links below for our Trustpilot reviews. We've got over 750 5-star reviews. Not just like we think Brendan's dead good. It's like little essays, and we're so grateful for them. This could be you, by the way. This could be you in the future. Anyway, let's dive in. The sort of things that we covered. So we know that they're going to assess against the 2016 CVF. I know, unusual. We know that you are probably, where is it now? Where is it? You're probably a bit frustrated because you've got this wheel of confusion thing to work out. It's okay. We'll help you with that, because it's not about making sure I've got an answer for We Are Collaborative. I've got an answer for We Take Ownership, or I've got an answer for Deliver Support and Inspire. This is making sure that you've got a series of answers that demonstrate from your previous experiences that you can add value in respect of certain themes. And the themes, although, if you asked a question about We Are Collaborative, you'd need to have as your golden thread throughout it how you collaborated with other people, especially other agencies, and even better if it's members of the community. But your answer's got to have that in its structure. And there's several different questions that you can get from each one of those competencies and values. So don't fall into that trap to think it'll be as simple as, can you tell me about a time when you've delivered excellent public service? It'll be a question that's derived from the behaviours within public service. Anyway, the thing to focus on more than anything else are the golden threads, And so for the Police Service of Northern Ireland, and these are no secrets because I just went to their website and looked it up, engagement, trust and confidence with individuals and communities, how they're going to encourage through engagement people to participate in policing at every level. Hold on to that, because I'm going to give you an example of how we span this around so that you'll have the board going, that's interesting. I didn't think of it like that. So we'll cover that. We'll cover that for you. Hallmarks of neighbourhood policing. Do you even know what they are? Do you even know what those hallmarks are? The force is very community focused, or it'd like to be, and they want to evolve that approach. So straight away in the board, they're looking for people who are going to do exactly that, evolve the approach. Is this making sense? I know you may be thinking, oh, this is so simple, this, but trust me, all of our academy members who have come to us so far weren't aware of this. So if it's so simple, why are you not doing it? Oh, I know why, because you didn't know what you didn't know. You didn't know that this is the sort of thing that you'd be looking for. You thought it was just, I just need to go and deliver these rote answers and use a load of buzzwords from the CVF. No, that's not going to get you anywhere. Don't believe anyone who tells you, yeah, just use CVF buzzwords. You'll pass that way. Just talk about some project you did. You'll pass that way. No, you won't. You just won't. You'll just sound like a dig. So just don't do that. Anyway, back to the other things that are the focus. So they want to evolve the approach for community focus. In conjunction with that, not separate from that, they want to evolve their serious and organised crime strategy, and they want to dive deeper into crime prevention, not just looking at preventing crime, but the causes and drivers of crime. So the causes of crime. So there's a lot there to weave into your answers, but if you can weave these things into your answers with ideas, and things that are going to add value to the police service, approaches that are going to add value, then you're the one that they're going to promote. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. Put something in the comments below if you think I'm wrong. I'd love to argue this one with you. No, we don't do arguments. I remember my ACC when I was a staff officer telling me that. You're a sergeant or you're an inspector. You don't have arguments with your constables. You have discussions with them. He came out with some gems, that ACC. Anyway, where was I? Yes, right. Let's give you an example of the sort of thing that we talked about. So if we just take a look at, we take ownership, public service, we're collaborative, you know, all of those values and competencies, they are screaming out for an approach that looks to working with partner agencies, both internally, externally, and your biggest partner agency is the community that you're a part of. Would anyone disagree with me there? I mean, like, your biggest partner agency has to be the community. If we go back to the Peelian principles, the historic tradition that the police are the public and the public are the police. But do you know the rest of it? Could you weave this in? Because most officers can rattle that off. Oh yeah, the police are the public and the public are the police. This reminds us that the police are the public and the public are the police. I'm testing you out here. Do you know the rest of that principle? You will in a minute. All right, the historic tradition, and this is important because this relates to individuals and communities participating in policing at every level. And how we're going to spin it around. All right, bear with me. So the police are the public and the public are the police. The police just being members of the public who are paid full-time to carry out a role which is incumbent on every citizen in the interests of community welfare and existence. All right, so that's the Peelian principle. I think it's number 7 out of the 9 principles, 1829, Sir Robert Peel. Actually, there's some research that says it wasn't Sir Robert Peel. Someone else wrote them, he just adopted them. But whatever, it doesn't matter. So this was something that guided all the principles of what I did as a neighbourhood inspector. And I know I did a lot of groundbreaking stuff as a neighbourhood inspector. How do I know it was groundbreaking? Well, I had the Prime Minister come and visit me, Policing Minister, Home Secretary, Baroness Helen Newlove. Got involved in a load of work with the Home Office, a load of work with the Department of Communities and Local Governments, called something else now. I did I was involved in a 2-year project on the advisory board for a big European project once I retired that was looking at community engagement and problem solving in Central and Eastern Europe. So it's not just like I was a neighbourhood inspector for a couple of years. I did a load of groundbreaking stuff around tackling organised crime and enabling communities. And this was one of the founding principles, that the police are the public and the public are the police just being members of the public who are paid full-time to carry out a role which is incumbent on all citizens in the interests of community welfare and existence. So there's a few things there to unpick before we look at spinning this aim that PSNI have got, and you can use this for any force. So what Sir Robert Peel was telling us, and this guy was visionary, trust me, he was visionary, is that the police are just actually paid full-time to carry out a role which actually every citizen should be carrying out. Have you noticed the change in language from member of the public to citizen? And there's a big difference here. A member of the public is someone who just receives services, the passive recipient of services. They sit back and they pay or they don't pay their council tax or whatever, but they are the recipient of services. And if they need something doing, what do? They call the police, they call the housing officers, they call the council, they call training standards, whoever it might be, who provide that service for them. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, what Sir Robert Peel was saying is that if you're a citizen, you're something different. If you're a citizen, you are someone who cares deeply about the welfare and existence of your community. See, he could have talked at the end, as opposed to welfare and existence, he could have talked about crime prevention. He could have talked about in the interest of preventing crime, in the interest of getting the bad guys, in the interest of reducing crime, but he didn't, because he knew the secret was in communities that had a strong sense of welfare and existence. And this is particularly pertinent for Northern Ireland, I'd suggest. Particularly pertinent. It's pertinent for other parts of the United Kingdom, but particularly pertinent if we consider the history and the current place that PSNI is in and its relationship with the communities that it should feel a part of, not apart from. The extent to which you are a part of the community versus apart from the community. Little phrases like that, by the way, drop them into your board and they're going to go, ooh, not heard that before. These things plant seeds in the assessors' minds. This isn't just about BSing them to pass an interview. This is about your pledge for the future of the service and how you intend to be part of it, how you're going to add value. Anyway, back to, hope you follow me, by the way. If you are, let me know in the comments. If you're not, let me know in the comments, and I can always do another explainer video. Hopefully that makes more sense. But this one should be making sense to you because these are all principles that underpin policing in the United Kingdom. So we've got citizens who care passionately about the welfare and existence of the community. But on your own, how are you going to do that? I mean, how do you do that? How do you do the welfare and existence and enable it further if you are just on your own, or even if you're a couple of neighbours together? How do you do this? Well, we do this because as opposed to the police getting people, as the Police Service of Northern Ireland's vision is, we're going to get individuals and communities to participate in policing at every level. This is based on the College of Policing definition of community engagement, which goes like this. We define community engagement as the process of enabling citizens to be involved in policing at their chosen level. So what we're saying there is that community engagement is about getting them to work with us, to get citizens involved in policing at their chosen level. And the College of Policing even goes into various different types of this, from just volunteering volunteering as a special constable, volunteering in other different roles in the police, becoming a cadet leader, getting involved in home watch. But it's all about getting citizens to be involved in policing at their chosen level. What if we span this around so it sat more within the Peelian principles? So what if we said that the definition of community engagement was the process of enabling policing to be involved in citizenship at a level of choosing of the community? You see the difference? Now, this is about policing in citizenship, in communities, building up a relationship with those communities so you feel like you're a part of the community as opposed to apart from it. And you can only build up a relationship with members of the community at the speed of trust. Just simply having a community meeting where we're going to discuss you said we did is not enough. I can guarantee in some of the most troubled areas in the United Kingdom, you'll get like 5 people turning up, and one of them will be the janitor of the village hall that you're hosting it in, or the community centre. That's the way those meetings go. And someone will be there to tell you about bikes on pavements, dog poop in the kids' playground, and they're not going to talk to you about the real issues. So we've got to get that relationship going. We can only build it up at the speed of trust. And so what we've got to do is to follow on that set of principles about police officers being involved in citizenship. And going back to that welfare and existence, you've got people in the community who care about the welfare and existence of the community. How are we going to enable them? Well, we're going to look for people who demonstrate the 4 C's. Now, this is another blue light propriety sort of thing that you won't find elsewhere. Go on, Google it, see if you can find the 4 C's in policing. What it stands for is that we're going to look for the people in the community who are the assets in the community. We've borrowed some principles here from the world of asset-based community development. And we're going to look for people who are capable people in the community, who are well connected in the community, who care enough to act, and given the opportunity to do so, will commit to take action. So people who are capable, highly connected in the community, care enough to act, and given the opportunity to do so, will commit to take action. And when we've found those people, we're going to enable them to create the vision that they have. I'll give you a simple example. I mean, I've done this. I've been a practitioner. I've run the participatory budgeting events. I've run the Detroit Soup. I've run the time banks, not me personally, but I've had my team run them. And I don't mean by my team the police officers. I mean my team, the Community Safety Partnership, because as a neighbourhood inspector, remember, my team was all of the CSP, which included the community. The community, the citizens in the community were part of this. Remember, citizens are different to members of the public. Citizens care passionately about their community, about the welfare and existence of it, and are prepared to do something about it. So that's why we're looking for those 4 C's. And so, in looking for those 4 C's, We will find those people and we're going to enable them. Quick example, football team. And you'd be thinking, what's such a big deal about a football team? This was an area that didn't have a football team. Actually, there was no associational, easy for me to say, no associational life going on at all in this community. And so what we needed to do was to enable more associational life, because when there's more associational life, people feel better connected, they feel happier, they feel safer, they feel as though they've got control of their community, they feel like they don't need OCG influence, the loan sharks and such like, they can manage on themselves, they don't need organised crime groups to cater for them. And I'm talking about community here, where the community centre, when I first took over this area as a neighbourhood inspector, it was my second neighbourhood. The community centre was run by an organised crime syndicate, and they made it really clear. The door staff at the community centre made it really clear that you as the police, if you want to come in here, you have to come in here with a search warrant. Otherwise, we're not letting you in. This is a community centre. And the next day, I went in with 3 serials of tactical aid unit with a licensing warrant, and we started our battle against the OCG in that area. And we won, by the way. We won by a long way. And so, yeah, it's just interesting because the coach trips in the community centre were all EDL coach trips, English Defence League. There's a big poster there saying, BMP, it's time to fight back. You know, really? We're going to suffer this? We're going to allow this to happen on our neighbourhoods? Not on my watch, not on my neighbourhood. Anyway, so that battle was going on, tackling the OCG. As we were removing the illegitimate leadership, we wanted to replace it with more legitimate leadership. And so things like football teams, the area didn't have a football team. Now the solution with things like clear, hold, build, save another video for that, but we used to use destroy, dismantle, disable, enable, enable, enable. That was our model. The build problem is that what will happen is they'll forget to look for the assets in the community and they'll just drop in a football coaching program for young kids on the estate. Great, it's fantastic, but what happens when the money runs out? What happens when there's a new government and they pull up funding on it? It just goes. And all we've done is disappointed the community again, because they've seen this happen. And they've seen these things introduced, pulled back when the funding runs out, and then 5 years later it gets introduced again together with a load of more community surveys. And listen, they're sick of it. They're sick of that cycle. And we're actually harming the community when we do this, because they are more than capable of running these things for themselves. Came across 2 dads kicking a football around on a football pitch with their kids and their neighbours' kids. It actually wasn't a football pitch. Should have been a football pitch. It actually became a football pitch. But when we originally came across it, it was a big patch of open grass with no ball game signs all around it. I mean, what were they all about? Bewildering. Another story, how it took me 2 years to get those signs taken down. I was a neighbourhood inspector. Still, sometimes things are difficult working in partnership. The 2 dads, we asked them, what does this community really need? Needs a football team. We knew they were going to say that. Needs a football team. Their expectation that we'd get Sports for All to come down and run coaching sessions and help form a team, which we would then run. And you'll see this across the country. Police officers, PCSOs, running football clubs. It's all very nice, but you're stopping the community doing the things that they're more than capable of doing. So back to the PSNI vision, participating in policing at every level. No, we're going to get policing to participate in citizenship. And so we asked a series of more asset-based appreciative questions like, well, what would your vision be? What would it look like if this community had an awesome football team? And they told us all about it. Great. What needs to happen then for this vision to take place? What would need to be true for this vision to happen? And that's when they started talking about, because they've not known anything different, well, can't you bring in the football coaches? Can't you form a team for us? No, we can't. But I know 2 people who could. It was those 2 dads. And so what we did is we enabled them to, and we gave them the contacts, the local football team. We gave them contacts with other voluntary teams. We gave them contacts with Sports for All, but not with the ideology of that we're going to do this for you. The ideology was we're going to enable you to succeed in committing to and getting to your vision for the future. And so that's what the 2 dads did. And we ran a participatory budgeting event. This is where I provided £20,000. It'd be about 40,000 now, would probably be better. So that was about 15 years ago. And the idea is that the community members come to the event and people from the community pitch their ideas to the community, and they say this is how much it's going to cost, and the members of the community who are there either vote for all the money, half the money, or none of the money. And we use little electronic things to do the voting. And I remember the two dads standing up, and they wanted about, I think it was about £4,000. It was a big chunk of all the money, about £3,500 to £4,000. Everyone agreed overwhelmingly. There's like, forget 3 or 4 people at this community meeting. There was like 120. There's people outside listening in. You know, we didn't have a hall big enough. If you want that type of community meeting, you need to run a PB event, participatory budgeting. Let's call it £4,000. So they got the £4,000. We enabled them we nurtured them. So they formed the football team. They got the first team up and running. They got the insurance. They got the training. They got the qualifications. It took them over a year, I seem to remember, to get the first team going. 15 years later, they've got more than several teams. They fund themselves now. They get sponsorship. They win competitions. Hundreds of young people have gone through that club. And as police officers, as a community safety partnership, we didn't do it for them. I know this because I've gone back to this community and I've asked them questions like several years later of the new people running all of these clubs who don't even know me. Like, how did all of this happen? And they'll talk about how they had this idea and they got it off the ground and they got some money from participatory budgeting, or you say we pay, as we called it back then. And they don't talk about the police at all. And that was really pleasing because that's the aim. The aim is, at the end of it, they say, we did this ourselves. And so this is an example, because if we think about it as young people, they're far less likely to get involved in crime. They're far more likely to be happier. They're far more likely to be connected in the community. They're far more likely to be fit and healthy. They're far less likely to get involved in drugs and alcohol. They're far less likely to struggle at school. Does this not sound like welfare and existence of the community? I think it does. This sounds to me like the welfare and existence of the community. So this is what the sort of thing that we work towards. I'm going to kind of start. I could keep going about how this connects with OCG and all sorts of other stuff. The hallmarks of neighbourhood policing, which I'm looking at these that have been released from the College of Policing thinking, this looks like 15 years ago. It looks like 15 years ago that's just been stuffed through ChatGPT. Can we come up with a 2025 version? Not very innovative. It's all a bit samey. It's all about a bit you said we did. So if you come up with the samey, you're not going to sound different on your board. If you come up with ideas like this, and I know I've been like 22 minutes into this now, you'd have to condense it a lot, but at the end of it, they should be asking you questions. They should be absolutely intrigued about how you would intend to use tools like participatory budgeting to enable citizens. And this approach is all Peelian principle based. It's less public servant, it's more citizen enabler. Does that make sense? It's less public servant. We are enabling citizens to be the best versions of themselves they can be, so this community can achieve its vision, not our vision, its vision for itself. Is this making sense? It's so exciting. I'm so excited to have so many Academy members who are actually inspired by this approach, who are actually going to give it a go. And they've got us there to support them. I've actually been out. I've been out to co-run and hand over the running of events in the community with our Promotion Academy members to make sure that they get this right. That's how dedicated we are. We'll actually travel out and spend a day with them and coach them in how to run one of these events. Whilst they're actually running the event, we'll help them with the planning and everything. You know, I've done that, and it's been an absolute pleasure to do this, because what I see at the end of the day is members of the community who are inspired by these police officers. They're inspired because they suddenly realize that we can do this ourselves with the support of the police and the council and housing associations and such like. We are citizens. We're not just the passive recipients of services. Yeah, awesome stuff. Anyway, hopefully this has made sense. This and more, you know, there's so many different approaches we take that are slightly left of centre, slightly different, but we know they work because we've been practitioners of these types of policing. And if you're thinking, oh, why did the police service not take advantage of this whilst you were in service? They did. For the last year in GMP, my sole role was to enable more of this approach to happen in the neighbourhood policing teams. That was my only function in my last year in GMP as part of the Strategic Change Branch. I was asked to be part of it because of that approach that we adopted. And the European Union, like I said, I got to spend 2 years on the advisory board for an amazing project that was working in the main Central and Eastern Europe, made an incredible difference to so many communities there in respect of enabling the police to take a more 200-year-old approach, Peelian principle approach. Nothing new here, by the way. It's just how we adapt and adopt those principles. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this and got something out of it. If this stage now, then you must have got something out of it. Otherwise, you wouldn't have listened for 25 minutes. If you want to find more about how to actually join the Academy program, check the links below. You'll be invited to complete a form. That form just asks you questions about where are you now, where do you want to be, what you're struggling with, and then we'll have a meeting with you where we can look at how we can support you to succeed in your PSNI process to become the Sergeant of the future, the Inspector of the future, or for any other force in the United Kingdom, or for any other force worldwide. We've got some international candidates now, which I'm absolutely delighted with. So I'll see you at the next one. And if you're watching this, you're a police officer, so stay safe, look after yourself, look after each other, and be good. All right, see you soon. Bye-bye for now.